Take a breath. Seriously, just pause for 1 second and breathe. Because I want to start today differently. I don't want to throw information at you. I want to have a real conversation with you. Just you and me. So let me ask you something honest. How long have you been learning English? 1 year? 3 years? Maybe more? And when you think about all that time, all those hours studying, all those words you tried to memorize, all those grammar lessons, do you feel like your speaking has kept up with all that effort? For most people, the answer is no. And that feeling, that gap between how much you've studied and how little you can actually speak, that feeling is exhausting. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you think maybe English just isn't for you. Maybe your brain doesn't work that way. But I need you to hear this clearly. That feeling is not your fault. You were taught the wrong way. And today, we are going to fix that together, step by step. Let's start with the biggest lie in English learning. The lie is this: the more words you know, the better you speak. This sounds logical, right? It makes sense on the surface. More vocabulary, more speaking ability. So people buy word lists. They download flashcard apps. They highlight pages in dictionaries. They memorize 50 new words a week. And then they still can't have a simple conversation. Why? Because this idea, as logical as it sounds, is completely wrong. Here is the truth. The English language contains somewhere around 170,000 words. But you know what? Even highly educated native English speakers, professors, journalists, writers, they use somewhere between 20,000 and 30,000 words in their entire lifetime of speaking. And in daily conversation, the number drops dramatically. Most normal, everyday conversations at home, at the market, at work, with friends use somewhere between 1,500 and 3,000 words. That's it. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Inside those 3,000 words, there is a core group, a small, powerful group of about 500 to 600 words that shows up again and again and again in almost every conversation a person has. Words like get, make, take, go, come, feel, think, know, want, need. Feelings like happy, tired, worried, excited. Simple nouns like time, work, home, money, food, family, friend. You already know most of these words. I guarantee it. So if vocabulary is not the problem, what is? The problem is that nobody taught you how to move with words. They taught you what words mean, but not how to use them in motion, in real, live, fast-moving conversation. That's the missing piece. And that is exactly what we're going to build today. To fix the problem, we first need to understand how the brain actually learns to speak a language, because it doesn't work the way school taught you. Think about a baby. A baby doesn't study. A baby doesn't memorize lists. A baby doesn't read a grammar book. What does a baby do? The baby listens. The baby hears the same sounds, the same words, the same short phrases over and over and over every single day. And slowly, without any pressure, without any test, the brain starts to recognize patterns. And one day, the baby speaks. Now, you are not a baby. You are an adult. And that gives you a huge advantage. You can understand explanations. You can be intentional. You can speed up the process. But the core principle is exactly the same. Your brain learns language through repetition of patterns, not through memorization of facts. Here's a simple way to understand this. Imagine your brain like a path through a forest. The first time you walk through, it's difficult. There are branches in the way. The ground is uneven. You have to move slowly and carefully. But the second time you walk the same path, it's a little easier. The third time, easier still. After you walk the same path 100 times, it becomes a clear, smooth road. You can walk it without even thinking. That is exactly what happens when you repeat a sentence pattern in English. The first time you say, I need to go, your brain works hard. It thinks about each word. But the 10th time, it's easier. The 50th time, it just comes out. And that is what fluency feels like. Not knowing more words, but having smooth roads in your brain that your words can travel on quickly and easily. So the method is simple. Find the most useful patterns and repeat them until they become roads. Now I'm going to give you something practical, something you can actually use starting today. These are called sentence frames. A sentence frame is a fixed structure with one open space, like a sentence with a blank at the end. You learn the frame once, and then you can fill in that blank with hundreds of different words. One frame, hundreds of sentences. Let me walk you through the most powerful ones. Frame 1, I want to. This is one of the most useful phrases in the entire English language. It expresses desire, it expresses goals, it expresses intention. I want to eat something. I want to sleep. I want to improve my English. I want to talk to you about something. I want to find a better job. Same frame, different meaning every time. Practice this one frame alone for a week, and you will use it naturally in conversation. Frame 2, I'm trying to. This frame is powerful because it's honest, it shows effort, it sounds natural, and people respond warmly to it. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to explain something. I'm trying to get better at English. I'm trying to find the right words. Native speakers use this constantly. And notice, it doesn't require perfect English. It actually gives you space to be imperfect, which makes you feel less afraid to speak. Frame 3, can you help me? Asking for help is not weakness. In language learning, it is one of the most powerful tools you have. When you ask for help, conversations happen, and conversations are where real learning lives. Can you help me understand this? Can you help me find the right word? Can you help me practice English? Can you help me with this? This frame also makes other people feel good, because everyone likes to help. So it's not just useful for you, it builds connection. Frame 4, I'm not sure, but I think. This is something most learners are afraid to say, but it is incredibly powerful. Why? Because it lets you speak even when you are not confident. It removes the pressure of being right. I'm not sure, but I think the meeting is at 3. I'm not sure, but I think this word means something like that. I'm not sure, but I think she already left. This frame keeps the conversation moving. And in real life, keeping the conversation moving is more important than being perfectly correct. Frame 5, what I mean is, this frame is a lifesaver. When you say something and the other person looks confused, instead of panicking, you simply say, what I mean is, and try again with simpler words. What I mean is, I don't fully agree. What I mean is, I need more time. What I mean is, it's complicated. This is exactly what native speakers do. They don't always get it right the first time either. They rephrase, they try again, and this frame lets you do the same, confidently. Frame 6, I used to, but now. This frame lets you talk about your life, your growth, your story. And people love stories. I used to be afraid of English, but now I'm getting more comfortable. I used to avoid speaking, but now I try every day. I used to think I needed perfect grammar, but now I understand that connection matters more. This frame alone can carry an entire conversation. Now pause and think about what we just did. 6 frames, that's it. But with those 6 frames and a vocabulary of even 400 to 500 common words, you can handle an enormous variety of real-life conversations. You can express what you want, ask for help, share your opinion, tell your story, and recover when you make a mistake. That is not a small thing. That is fluency in action. Now, knowing these frames is one thing, but making them automatic, making them come out of your mouth without thinking, that requires practice. And I want to talk about practice in a real, honest way, because most people practice the wrong way. Wrong practice looks like this. You sit down, you open a textbook, you read for an hour, you feel productive, and then you close the book and don't speak a single word. That is studying. That is not practice. Real practice looks completely different. Real practice is speaking out loud, even when you're alone, even when you feel silly, even when nobody is listening. Here is a method I want you to try. I call it live commentary. Throughout your day, narrate your own life, quietly or out loud in English. When you wake up, say, I need to get up. I want to make coffee. I'm going to get ready for work. When you're eating, I'm trying to eat quickly today. I don't have much time. When something goes wrong, I'm not sure what happened, but I think I need to fix this. You are not studying, you are using. And every time you use a frame in a real moment of your life, it gets slightly more automatic. It gets slightly more yours. The second method is shadow and repeat. Find a short video or audio in English, just 30 to 60 seconds long. Listen once. Then play it again and speak along with it at the same time, trying to match the rhythm, the speed, the feeling. Don't worry about understanding every word. Focus on the music of the language, the way sentences flow. This trains your mouth and your ear at the same time. The third method is daily sentence writing. Every evening, write 5 sentences about your day, using the frames we talked about. Just 5 sentences. Today, I tried to explain something difficult. I wasn't sure I did it well, but I kept going. What I mean is, I didn't give up. 5 sentences, that's all. Over time, those sentences will start to sound more and more natural because you are connecting English to your real life, your real experiences, your real feelings. The goal of all 3 methods is the same. Close the gap between your thinking and your speaking. Right now, for most learners, there is a delay. You think in your language, you translate, and then you speak. Practice like this slowly, gradually, removes that translation step. And when the translation step disappears, that is when you become truly fluent. Before we finish, I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough in English learning, and that is your relationship with mistakes. Most learners are terrified of making mistakes. They stay quiet because they don't want to say something wrong. They plan every sentence in their head before they say it. And while they are planning, the conversation moves on without them. Here's what I want you to understand. Mistakes are not the opposite of learning. Mistakes are how learning happens. When a child falls while learning to walk, nobody says, "Oh, well, I guess walking isn't for this child." The child falls, gets up, tries again, falls again, and eventually walks and runs and dances. That is the process. Your English mistakes are the same. Every time you say something wrong and notice it, your brain makes a small adjustment. Every time someone corrects you and you try again, a new road starts to form in your brain. Progress is not made in the moments when you get it right. Progress is made in the moments when you get it wrong and keep going anyway. So starting today, I want you to make a decision, a real decision, not a "I'll try" decision, a genuine commitment. The decision is this: I will speak even when I'm not ready. I will use what I have even when it's not perfect. I will treat every conversation as practice, not as a performance. Because here's the truth about fluency that nobody tells you. Fluent speakers are not people who never make mistakes. They are people who kept speaking long after imperfect speakers stopped. So let's bring everything together. English fluency does not come from learning more words. It comes from using the right words in the right patterns repeatedly in real moments of your life. You don't need 170,000 words. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need a foreign accent or years of living abroad. You need a small set of powerful sentence frames, a commitment to daily practice, and the courage to speak before you feel ready. That's it. That is the entire formula. And I want you to do something right now before you close this video. Say this sentence out loud, wherever you are. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm getting better every single day. Say it again. Mean it. That sentence is true. And every day that you practice, even 5 minutes, even 3 sentences, it becomes more true. I'll see you in the next video. And until then, speak. Speak as much as you can. Speak even when you're scared. Because the version of you that speaks English confidently, that person is already inside you. You just need to give them enough practice to come out.